Good Monday morning, everyone. It is 10:10 a.m., which means it is time for another weekly episode of Instant Replay, which, by the way, is North Georgia's only live online sports show. I'm your host and sports director for Team FYN Sports, Lauren Hunter. Good to be here on this beautiful fall Monday morning. A little chilly outside. I stepped out and had to wait for a minute for my car to heat up. But then on the way over here, it was just so beautiful. The leaves are changing and fall is officially here. So it's a great feeling and it is a great morning. But along with that, with it being fall, means that it is officially time. Fall sports are in full swing, have been for several weeks now. And then also it means that a lot of our fall sports are winding down because we are in November. We are in week 12 of regular season for high school football, which is also the last week for regular season for high school football. So we have recaps from each of the games from the previous week on Friday night. And then also our softball and volleyball teams are finished here in Team FYN Sports area coverage. So last week we wanted to say congratulations to all of them and want to say congratulations again this week on a great season to these hardworking ladies who did awesome, played hard, and definitely proved themselves worthy of the congratulations. Now also, like I said, we still have a lot to share with you here on this show with high school football, the regular season coming to an end, and keeping a lookout for who all is going to be advancing into the postseason and into the playoffs. And then also, if we have time, we'll wrap it up with a little bit of college football updates. Of course, many of you know that this past weekend was the game, aka the Georgia-Florida game, which the Dogs came out on top. So good for that. But also, if we have time, we'll talk a little bit about the AP poll, where some college football teams are standing as of this past weekend. But we're going to go ahead and start off with our high school football recaps from this previous week. And now last week, I changed it up a little bit. I'm going to continue doing that for this week. Instead of going by our regular teams, what I've been doing is grouping our teams a little bit based on their region, because we have several teams here at Team FYN Sports that play within the same region. So it makes sense that we would kind of group them all together. But we're going to start off with Region 7, Class 4A, which is the White County Warriors region. And we have our sideline reporter, Carson Finley, on the sideline each Friday night, and he provided us with another game recap as well from this past Friday night, when White County got the victory over the Chestatee War Eagles. So we're going to talk about that here in just a little bit. But to give you an idea of the standings and where the Warriors sit within the standings, at the very top of the region with a region record of 5-0, we have Blessed Trinity. Then coming in second is Marist and Flower Branch and Denmark. They are all tied for that, Marist is sitting in that second place spot with a region record of 5-1. And then Flower Branch and Denmark are tied up for that third place spot with a region record of 3-2. Then the Warriors are sitting at 2-3 in that fifth place spot in the region. And then West Hall and Chestatee are sitting at an 0-5 record in the region and are tied for that sixth place spot. So a lot of ties there in that region. A lot of those will be broken up after this coming week, though. So we're going to talk about that a little bit in here in just a minute as well. The White County Warriors that we focus on here at Team FYN Sports are sitting at an overall record of 5-4, and then again at that region record of 2-3. The biggest takeaway from this past weekend is that the Warriors got the victory over the Chestatee War Eagles and still have hopes of making it into the playoffs, so we're excited for them. As a game recap, just to give you a little bit of an idea of what happened, both teams got off to a slow start when they traded 3-and-outs. Then both teams started to gain momentum, and both teams scored on similar plays, with quarterbacks Jabin Haynes and Christian Charles rushing and scoring for White County and Chestatee, respectively. Two great quarterbacks there, Jabin Haynes for White County and Christian Charles for Chestatee. The first quarter ended with both teams tied at 7, and then the Warriors' offense continued to gain momentum. Riley Stansel scored on a rushing touchdown to give the Warriors the go-ahead. Then Reese Dockery got an interception for White County, and Jesse Moose forced a fumble for the Warriors. Then the drive was capped off with another rushing touchdown by Haynes. Another highlight for the Warriors came just before the end of the half when Cooper Turner caught a tipped pass one-handed. Great play there. Would have loved to have seen that. The Warriors came out of the half ready to play harder, and didn't take long for Haynes to complete another touchdown pass to Riley Stansel. Chestatee closed the gap a little shortly after with another rushing touchdown by Charles. Again, two great quarterbacks here quarterback Jabin Haynes for the White County Warriors can pass, rush, and score. And then also I've seen Christian Charles for the War Eagles play when I went to see them play against the Fannin County Rebels. Again, another great quarterback that can pass and rush and score, and you can definitely see that from this game recap here. At this point, the momentum for the Warriors started to change sides a little bit as the White County offense made some mistakes, but the defense stepped up and prevented the War Eagles from scoring any more. Then Haynes scored once more for the Warriors late into the game, making the final score 34-14 there with the Warriors on top. So congratulations again to them for getting this win on Friday night. Now, like I said earlier, the Warriors still have a slight chance of making it in the playoffs, but they will have to defeat the Blessed Trinity Titans, which are one of the best teams in the state. This is a very difficult region that the Warriors play in, as you heard me reading over who is in that region with Blessed Trinity, Marist, Flyer Branch, who is a great team this year, Denmark. So definitely a tough region there. But White County is in a tough region, but good luck to them. On Friday night, they're going to be taking on the Blessed Trinity Titans. It is at home, and our sideline reporter, Carson Finley, will be there to provide game recaps, score updates, and possibly a post-game interview with Coach Tim Coakley of the Warriors if he can catch him after the game. So we're definitely looking forward to hearing how the Warriors play on Friday night. I do want to say, though, that I believe this is a team, from what I've read and from what I've seen when the Warriors played the Lumpkin County Indians that I cover. They played earlier in the season in a non-region game. From what I've seen, this is definitely a strong team with a great quarterback, great receivers, running backs, strong defense. They've got everything that they need. So if they're going to pull out that win against Blessed Trinity, I believe this could be the year. So with all that also being said, highlighting some players, I want to highlight this week's Player of the Week for the Warriors, which was Riley Stansel. This is a direct quote from Carson's article about Riley. He said, quote, "Stansel made multiple big plays running the ball tonight and was consistently gaining yards every time he ran the ball. With almost every carry, it took multiple War Eagle defenders to take him down. Stansel scored on both a rushing and receiving touchdown, giving him his first multi-touchdown game." So definitely this is an award that was well-deserved. Congratulations, Riley, for being named this week's Team F-Line Sports Writers Player of the Week for the White County Warriors. And again, Carson Finley, our sideline reporter for the Warriors this year, will be there at the game next week for the home game against the Blessed Trinity Titans. Again, an exciting game there, and looking forward to hearing more about it as that time comes. So that is the only team that we cover here at Team F-Line Sports within Region 7, Class 4A. But we cover a couple of other teams in Class 4A, which are in Region 6, and that is our Pickens Dragons and Gilmer Bobcats. They're in that Region 6, Class 4A. And to give you an idea of the standings there, we've got Northwest Whitfield in that first place spot, Ridgeland and Heritage all tied up for that first place spot with a region record of 4-1. Three-way tie there that's going to be broken up this weekend, and we'll talk about that in just a minute too. Then we've got the Pickens Dragons sitting in that fourth place spot with a region record of 4-2. Then Gilmer and Lafayette are tied up for that fifth place spot with a region record of 1-4. And then finally sitting in that seventh place spot, we've got Southeast Whitfield County with a region record of 0-5. So another tough region there with some hard playing, really great teams. But we cover the Gilmer Bobcats and Pickens Dragons, and we're going to start off with the Gilmer Bobcats. And the takeaway from this week for the Bobcats was, although the outcome may not have been what they wanted, the Bobcats played as hard as they could against Ridgeland, which again is a tough team in that region. Also, it was senior night for the Bobcats on Friday night, so shout out to seniors Donnie Ledford, Andrew Gooch, Dylan Ellington, Luke Morgan, and Jace McClure for a great 4 years and for sticking it out in the past years when the going got tough. Now, again, I want to give a shout out to our sideline reporter for the Gilmer Bobcats, which is Richie Stone. And I want to say this about his article and Carson's article, and then about all of our articles here at Team F-Line Sports. I read some highlights, but if you really want to get a full feel for how the game was on Friday night, go and check out these articles on our Team F-Line Sports page online. It is www.fetchyournews.com. When you get on the main webpage, you can click on the county you're looking for there at the top, and then you can click on Team F-Line Sports from that county's main page. And you can see all of the game recap articles there, and all of our sideline reporters do an awesome job. So I want to give them all a shout out here, and I'll try to give them a shout out as I go along to each of their counties. And again, Richie did an awesome job leading this article in and giving all of the seniors a shout out. So after the show, or maybe during when we take one of our breaks, go and check that article out because Richie did an awesome job. Now the game started with a great kick by Kobe Stonecipher for the Bobcats. The Bobcats went 4 and out on their first drive, but the defense took over and put great pressure on the Panthers quarterback. For the next possession, Stonecipher went on a long run into Ridgeland territory. Then quarterback Seth Darling hit wide receiver Braden Jenkins for a 34-yard touchdown. Adolfo Batista kicked the field goal, and Gilmer went up 7-0, took the lead against Ridgeland there. Ridgeland tied it up shortly after. Then Gilmer tried to go ahead with a completion from Darling to Stonecipher. Unfortunately, the next handoff play went wrong and ended with a fumble recovered by the Panthers, but the Bobcat defense was once again able to prevent a score. The next possession was a display of efficiency as clock management, as Richie put it. I can't take credit for that. That was the way Richie wrote it in his article. The Cats ate up the clock, and Ashton White got the ball in just before the half. Gilmer went up 14-7 going into halftime. Now shout out to Seth Darling for a great play that came next. He dropped back, then rolled left for a keeper. He took off down the sideline for a huge gain that led into another score by Stonecipher minutes later. Unfortunately, the momentum didn't stay with the Cats as Darling started to show some discomfort with his throwing arm, a little bit of an injury there, so we hope that he recovers soon. The Panthers' offense came to life and went from punting on 4th down to converting 4th downs, which was some trouble there for the Bobcats. The result was the final score of 31-21. Now, I may not have mentioned this or made it clear as I'm reading over this game recap, but the Bobcats had the lead for a while there and were really playing great. And it's not a matter of that the Bobcats stopped playing well. It was just that Ridgeland was able to get past them a little bit there and get on top. So I want to give a shout out to the Bobcats for playing great on Friday night and for leading for most of the game. Now, as Richie put in his article, most football coaches will tell you true measure of a football team is how much they improve week by week through the season. And the Gilmer Bobcats have definitely done that, especially from the previous season. They've came out and improved under head coach Kevin Saunders, so I want to give him a shout out as well. They've really played great this season, and we're super proud of them here at Team FYN Sports. And speaking of Coach Saunders, Richie got an interview with him after the game on Friday night, so we're going to go ahead and watch that, make a couple points on it as well.
All right, Coach, what happened tonight?
Well, this game might have been lost 16 years ago when those kids were born over there at Richland. But our kids played incredible tonight, and we had a chance to win once again. We can't play any harder than what we did. We had some kids banged up and just had to go with what we got. Seth got hurt there at the start of the third quarter, and we couldn't throw the ball. And so it made it rough for us. But I couldn't be more proud of the kids. And, this is probably the most athletic team that we played all year. And our kids just, battled and were extremely physical, did everything we could.
Hey, you guys were in control pretty much the whole first 3/4 of the game. It felt like go up 21-7. What do you think happened?
Well, they have more athletes than we do. I mean, they have more speed. And at any time with what they had, they could go the house. And it's hard on us. But it's just something we got to get used to, and we will. We're getting better. And we were very physical, attack. We did everything we could to get us a chance to win.
Gotcha. Well, one more on the road, go to Lafayette.
Yep.
Chance of 4-6 season,
Yep.
4 more wins than this school had in the last 3 years. So.
Yeah, you go. I couldn't be more proud of the way the kids have played. They've laid a foundation for a very good football program, and I feel good about it.
All right, Coach, we'll see you on the show Monday.
All right, see you, bud.
So head coach Kevin Saunders made several great points in that interview, but what I want to say overall is that I love how proud he is of his team, how they keep coming out every week and improving, how they were able to get on top of the Panthers, the Ridgeland Panthers there for a little bit. And as Coach Saunders said, it really wasn't a matter of how the Bobcats were playing because they played great the entire game. It was just a matter of the fact that Ridgeland, has some better athletes and was able to get past them there in that game. So, again, want to give a shout out to the Bobcats for a great season so far. They do have one more game left in the regular season. And then Richie says, there's not things can always happen. There can always be an upset, and the Gilmer Bobcats might even be able to find themselves in the playoffs. So we'll see, and we'll be keeping up with that here at Team FYN Sports. Now, as I said, the Bobcats have one more regular season game left to play, and that is on the road this Friday night at Lafayette. And then Richie will also be there on the sideline of that game to bring you score updates and another sideline post-game interview with head coach Kevin Saunders. He does a great job of getting those interviews there as well. Now, before we go away from the Gilmer Bobcats, I do want to give a shout out to our player of the week for the Bobcats, which was defensive end and linebacker Cameron Weaver. So the defense definitely stepped up on Friday night. If you heard from my game recap there, they made some great plays, were able to prevent the Panthers from scoring for a lot of the game. So Cameron was definitely a part of that, and we want to give him a shout out here on this week's episode of Instant Replay. Now we are at the time for our first break of the show. When we come back, we're going to continue talking about the teams that we cover here in Region 7 4A, which we have the Pickens Dragons left. In this region, we'll be talking about their win this past weekend. And then also we'll get into the rest of our high school football teams that we cover here at Team FYN Sports and go from there. So stick around here with us. Hope you're having a great Monday morning. We'll be right back after these advertisements here from our sponsors.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LOJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on-site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Hi everyone, Dave Garner here. You might know me as a regular contributor to Team FYN Sports and the Instant Replay, but did you know I'm also your local Woodman Life representative? My job is to make sure that families are protected through needs-based life insurance and retirement. I want to make sure that you leave your loved ones with memories, not expenses. Call me today to find out how I can help you to not outlive your money and that your money outlives you. Woodman Life, standing strong for generations.
Welcome back, everyone, to this week's episode of Instant Replay. Hard to believe that we are already in the month of November. Man, this time really has flown by here in this fall season. But it is a beautiful Monday morning. I was talking about at the beginning of the show how pretty the leaves were on the way over here. Loving my time here at Team FYN Sports, where I get to spend it in the mountains, especially with it being as beautiful outside as it is right now. Now, speaking of Team FYN Sports, if you like what you see, you should definitely go ahead and like our Facebook page. If you're watching this show live right now, you're already here, so go ahead and give us a like there so you can stay up to date with everything we're doing here. Then also you can follow us at Team FYN Sports on Twitter and Instagram. We keep it consistent here. And then also after the show, we will upload it to our YouTube channel, which is FYN TV. Fetch Your News on YouTube, so you can go subscribe to that and see this video along with all of our other Instant Replay episodes. And then we've also got some other great stuff on there. We've got our sports shows, our football shows. BKP has his morning show that we upload there, so you may go on there looking for this show and find something else you like. So go ahead and check that out whenever you get the next chance. And then also I always like to give a shout out that if you've got a favorite athlete or a favorite team that you want to give a shout out to, you can send us an email there, teamfynsports@Fetch Your News. Those emails go to me, so I'll see those, and I may even give you a shout-out on the show. Who knows? We like to keep things exciting around here, so the odds are that I probably will. But anyway, so we left off in Class 4A, Region 7, with two teams that we cover here at Team FYN Sports. We already talked about the Gilmer Bobcats with their slight defeat on the Ridgeland Panthers on Friday night, but we're going to be talking about the Pickens Dragons now and their victory that they got on Friday night. At home, it was senior night for the Dragons, and they were able to get the W there and clinch a spot in playoffs. So the Dragons are definitely in playoffs. It's just a matter of where they're going to be seeding-wise, and we'll talk about that here in just a minute. Now, this was a back-and-forth game. Start things off, the Dragons quarterback C.J. Stryker took the ball in for a 36-yard touchdown rush. It would be the first of 7 rushing scores for him that night. Now, Pickens was playing against the Lafayette Ramblers, and Lafayette answered soon after and took the lead after their point attempt was good. Pickens' point attempt from the previous touchdown had been no good just before. Then the Ramblers scored again on a 71-yard rush just before the half and took the lead 14-6. Now, I would say I would go through more of the game recap, the specific game recap highlights, but really, instead of spending the time doing that, I can just tell you pretty much that it was back and forth for these two teams the entire night. And it was the C.J. Stryker show with 7 rushing touchdowns and 1 passing to Jared Whitmore. And the Dragons were able to get that victory on Friday night. Now, I have it on good authority, a.k.a. R.J. Casey, who is our Pickens guru, as I like to call him, and our sideline reporter for the Dragons, that CJ came into the game needing 9 rushing yards to break 1,000 on this season, and he got 238, which is incredible. So congratulations to CJ as well, because he has broke 1,000 yards this season for rushing. And he's a quarterback. You don't typically see that with quarterbacks. So that is awesome, and if I'm not mistaken, he's either really, really close to 1,000 yards or he may be slightly over. I'm pretty sure he's just really, really close. But either way, shout out to CJ for breaking over 1,000 yards rushing this season. That is awesome. So the Dragons are finished with the regular season. Believe it or not, their bye week, their second bye week is this coming weekend. So they are done with the regular season. But a point worth making is that the Dragons are for sure in the playoffs, but their seeding is yet to be determined, as there is a 3-way tie between the teams in front of them, as I talked about there: Ridgeland, Heritage, and Northwest Whitfield. Again, I'm going to directly quote RJ because he knows his stuff and it's easier to just directly quote him. This is from his game recap article. Quote, "All eyes will be on the Heritage Northwest Whitfield matchup next week, as that game will determine the seeding as far as the playoffs are concerned. Should Heritage win and Ridgeland win their game against Southeast Whitfield, Ridgeland would win the region title, Heritage would be the 2nd seed, Pickens would be the 3rd seed, and Northwest Whitfield would be the 4th seed. Should Northwest Whitfield defeat Heritage, the Bruins would win the region, Ridgeland would be the 2nd seed, Heritage would be the 3rd seed, and Pickens would be the 4th seed," end quote. So you heard it directly from the source himself, RJ Casey, that the Dragons are in the playoffs, so there's no need to worry there. They know for sure that they're in the playoffs, and they can be using this bye week to get ready for that first playoff game. And depending on how games go this Friday night, it will determine their seeding. So we'll have updates for you on that next week once those two games are played. Now, if I'm remembering correctly, I think RJ said that Pickens, regardless, would be playing North Oconee and Oconee County, either or, depending on their seeding. So just to give you a little idea of who the Dragons might be matched up against. But that is where they are at right now. So just to give you an idea of that, and before we leave off of the Pickens Dragons, I want to give a shout out to our player of the week for the Dragons this week. RJ selected none other than CJ Striker. Again, quoting RJ, I've been doing a lot of that today, but RJ just does such a great job of it. Striker finished with 238 yards on the ground, 167 yards passing, 6 rushing touchdowns, and 1 passing touchdown. Striker also converted 2 two-point conversions and helped convert a fake punt with a completed pass to fellow senior Zach Tedderton. End quote. So shout out to CJ Striker. Like I said, it was the CJ Striker show on Friday night. So he awesome job there and definitely deserved that nomination for Player of the Week by RJ Casey. And another shout out from RJ to the class of 2020, aka the seniors that were celebrated on Friday night. Quote, a special shout out goes to the 21 other seniors on this year's Dragons football team. Yesterday's win over Lafayette would not have been possible without them, and they have been a part of what is most likely the best stretch of success in Pickens football history. With their win last night, they clinched a playoff berth for a 6th consecutive season. Just a fantastic job all around for the sustained success, end quote. So you can see a couple of things there. One being the phenomenal job that the class of 2020 has done over the last couple of years, making sure the Dragons stayed in the playoffs. And then, of course, that awesome season they had last year, going undefeated until the playoffs. And then another thing you can see there is just how much RJ loves his Dragons. He truly does. And that's why I quote him so much when it comes to the Dragons segment, because he just knows his stuff and he loves them so much. And I can't leave RJ out of it. So, RJ, we appreciate everything you do here for us at Team FYN Sports. Now that's going to finish it up for the Dragons and for our Region 7 4A teams there, the Bobcats and the Dragons. We're going to move on over into Region 7 Class 3A, and we have 3 teams that we cover here at Team FYN Sports that are within this region, and that is the Dawson County Tigers, the Lumpkin County Indians, and the Fannin County Rebels. And here's the rundown for this region and their standings. Sitting at number 1, we have Greater Atlanta Christian with a region record at 5-0. And then North Hall and Dawson County are tied at 4-1 in the region for that second place spot. Fannin County is sitting at 3-2 in that 4th place spot. Cherokee Bluff is 2-4 in the 5th place spot. And then Lumpkin County and East Hall are 0-5 in the region and tied for that 6th place spot. So that's your idea of the region there for Region 7 Class 3A. Now we're going to start the region off with the Dawson County Tigers, and our sideline reporter Noah Rubin was there to bring us updates from this game on Friday night. The Tigers got a huge win, 52-10 over the Cherokee Bluff Bears to continue their winning streak. They are for certain in the playoffs. They have been for a couple of weeks now. And their seeding will be determined in the game against North Hall on Friday night. Now, as a game recap from the game this past Friday night, the Zacchaeus Holtzclaw, Sean Thomas, Dakota Sonicson trio dominated in this game. The Tigers scored early on with a 62-yard pass from Holtzclaw to Dakota Sonicson. The defense took over and held Cherokee Bluff to a field goal. Then Sean Thomas returned the kick to great field position for the Tigers. It led into another Holtzclaw-Sonicson connection, and Holtzclaw ran it in for a touchdown to score again there in this game. DJ Mitchell got a huge sack for the Tigers and forced the Bears to punt. The drive resulted in a field goal by Caleb Bonesteel in their next possession there. Early in the second quarter, Holtzclaw fired off to Jaden Gibson to extend the Tigers' lead 24-3. And then for their next score, Thomas took off on a 79-yard touchdown run to score again for the Tigers. The trio struck coming out of halftime with a 37-yard run and a 13-yard reception by Thomas. Then Sonicson ended the drive with a 29-yard touchdown reception. Again, this trio here was really kicking it up a notch on Friday night. I mean, they have been each week, but especially this past Friday night, I mean, it was just all Dakota Sonicson, Sean Thomas, and Zacchaeus Holtzclaw. Thomas continued his run with a 30-yard drive, then first down run. Sonicson picked up another first down reception before Holtzclaw punched it in for another touchdown. The trio's domination was broken up by Nick Beluga, who picked up a first down, then 61-yard run, then the final touchdown for the Tigers to secure the 52-10 victory. So again, Tigers dominated on Friday night, especially that trio there. So we have another post-game interview with head coach Sid Maxwell. Noah Rubin got his thoughts on the game Friday night, so we're going to check that out, and then we'll make a couple of points about it.
What's up, sports fans? I'm here with Coach Maxwell following a 52-10 victory over Cherokee Bluff. Coach, what are your initial thoughts following the game?
Well, boys played, again, another complete football game in all phases. We got things we need to clean up, but everybody does. But again, our focus is next opponent, and we got to keep getting better.
Coach, you guys threw the ball down the field a lot more than you guys usually do. Did you guys see anything out of the defense?
Well, they loaded the box on us, and the philosophy obviously is take what they give us and don't run where they are. And so Coach Watkins does a great job attacking defenses and putting our guys in the right position.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep, thank you.
Now, several great points to make from that interview as well. First of all, you got to love it when your team plays all 4 quarters. That separates a good football team from a great football team, and the Tigers definitely did that on Friday night. Also, Coach Maxwell is always saying that they can improve somehow, even after they come off of a domination like the one over Cherokee Bluff. So you have to, in this region, I mean, it's Region 7, Class 3A, which you might think, what could really happen in a 3A class? But I've said it several times to head coach Chad Cheatham in Fannin County. I've mentioned it on the show that we do with them. This is a region where each team plays differently, has their own strengths. So you really can't slack off from week to week and say, this team is just so-so, we won't go as hard. You have to go hard every single week, and that's what the Tigers have been doing. And for that, they are in the top of the region. They are tied up with North Hall, and as I said earlier, this game on Friday night against North Hall is going to determine who is going to be that second seed behind Greater Atlanta Christian. So since we cover the Tigers here at Team F1 Sports, I'll just say that we are rooting for them, and Noah Rubin will be at that game to provide us score updates, another post-game interview with Coach Maxwell, pitchers, everything that we usually do here at Team F1 Sports, and Noah does an awesome job. Now, we have a player of the week from Noah as well for the Tigers, which was part of the trio. It was Dakota Sonicson. I think it's pretty self-explanatory why he was given this award. But in case you missed some of the recap from the game, his stats included a 62-yard touchdown reception, a 29-yard touchdown reception, and great plays on defense as well. So congratulations to Dakota for this award. Now I'm going to go through our Lumpkin County Indians game recap really quick here before we have to take another break. And the biggest takeaway from the Indians game on Friday night, which was against Fannin County, and we're going to get to Fannin County in just a minute. I have a feeling I've got some Fannin County people watching and wondering, when are we going to get to Fannin County? We're getting there. So the Lumpkin Indians went up to Blue Ridge to play Fannin on Friday night, and they put their Philly special. I learned something new this past week. I learned that's what that trick play is called. They put their passing game, Andrew Allison, to work to stay alive and warm because it was very, very cold on Friday night. I was there. I know from firsthand experience. This was Friday night's battle against the Fannin County Rebels. So the Indians got off to a slow start on offense. Then the momentum shifted when Drew Allison crossed the line for a first down, and Drew Allison was back out there. He has been in a defensive role from a strong safety, and now he's transitioned more into a running back position, and he was put to work on Friday night. Quarterback Tucker Kirk completed passes to Caleb Norrell and Ryan Burkhart. Then came the now common trick play for the Indians, the quote Philly special there. Bojack Dowdy got the snap, then handed off to Trey Wilkes, who passed to Kirk for the touchdown. Before anyone knew what happened, the Indians were closing in on the Rebels 14-7. Now, the Indians were up against a tough opponent, but they still got some stops, and shout out to Ethan Klein and Luke Mundy for doing just that. They were one of many guys that got some stops on Friday night. Coming out of the half, the Indians continued to pick up yards with Dowdy and Allison rushing and Kirk firing off completions to Norrell. Lumpkin County did get the last word, or rather the score, because we're talking about football here, against the Rebels with a touchdown pass from Kirk to Wilkes. The scoreboard read 35-14, but trust me when I say that even though they fell in this game, they're already looking forward to the next game on Friday night, which is against East Hall. It will be their last regular season game of the season. And the player of the week for the Indians, which was my personal player of the week, is Drew Allison. Drew, as I said, was in more of a strong safety defensive role towards the beginning of the season, and now due to some injuries and some people being out, he's transitioned more into a running back position. And that's the picture of him there that you can see with him carrying the ball. He did that many times on Friday night, rushed for some first downs, picked up some yards for the Indians. So he is my own personal player of the week for the Lumpkin County Indians. So shout out and congratulations to Drew there. Now we're going to go ahead and take our next break of the show, and when we come back, we'll be wrapping up our high school football highlights. We're going to talk about the Fannin County Rebels and some great accomplishments that they got on Friday night, including securing a spot in the playoffs for the second season in a row. Then we'll talk about our undefeated Union County Panthers who won on Friday night against Social Circle. Talk a little bit on our teams up in North Carolina, how they did on Friday night, and then we will go from there. So don't go anywhere. You're watching this week's episode of Instant Replay.
Very special family. A family of farmers, ranchers, and dairymen. Clerks, butchers, and bakers. Deli workers, pharmacists, and florists. We work hard every day to bring you the very best, and we'll continue to wake up every morning and work as hard as you do. This is our town, and we built this community together. Ingalls, your neighbor for over 50 years.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
I'm Jeff Riblett, President of Asset Protection Group. As a certified financial planner and with 20 years experience, I've helped thousands of families and business owners create a tremendous amount of wealth. Fortunately, most of that wealth has been protected. Don't allow an unforeseen life event, such as a nursing home stay or the next market meltdown, destroy your family's wealth. Be smart. Call me. Let's determine how best to protect your assets and preserve your wealth.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LOJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Hi everyone, Dave Garner here. You might know me as a regular contributor to Team FYN Sports and the Instant Replay, but did you know I'm also your local Woodman Life representative? My job is to make sure that families are protected through needs-based life insurance and retirement. I want to make sure that you leave your loved ones with memories, not expenses. Call me today to find out how I can help you to not outlive your money and that your money outlives you. Woodman Life, standing strong for generations.
Welcome back, everyone. You're watching this week's episode of Instant Replay. It is the first week of November, which is hard to believe. But I want to remind everyone of how you can get in touch with us and connect with us on social media. Now, we broadcast this show live on our Team F1 Sports Facebook page. So if you're watching it right now, you have time, you can go ahead and give us a like here on Facebook. And then also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Team F1 Sports. And after the show is over, we will upload it to our YouTube channel. It is FYN TV. Fetch your news. You can see all that info there. And then you can subscribe to our channel as well to get notifications of when we post something new. And then also, if you have an athlete or a favorite team you want to give a shout out to, or maybe just tell us how good, or hopefully not, but maybe bad of a job that we're doing, you can send us an email to that email address right there. It is teamfynsports@fetchyournews.com. Now, before we went to break, I said that we were going to continue with Region 7 3A teams that we cover here in football, and we're going to finish that region up by covering our Fannin County Rebels. Now, on Friday night, the Rebels got the victory over the Indians, who we just recapped in the previous segment, and they broke several records, including a second season in a row to the playoffs, and we're going to talk about a little bit just how many other records they broke with this victory as well. But as a brief recap, first and foremost, I want to give a shout out to Traylon Owensby for breaking 1,000 rushing yards during this game. He was responsible also for the first Rebel touchdown, and he rushed for 2 touchdowns total. Also on offense, Will Mosley earned 1 touchdown, Luke Holloway rushed for 1, and the final one was a pass from Holloway to Andre Bivens. On defense, all night, the Rebels were making key stops to keep the Indians from scoring beyond the 2 touchdowns that they did score. There were great stops by many of the Rebels on defense, but just to highlight a couple of those, James Mercer got a stop earlier in the game. Dalton Ross got a stop. There was a kickoff stop by Sawyer Moreland, and Miles Johnson deflected a pass. So shout out to these guys on defense as well. But the Rebels just overall played extremely well on Friday night, despite the fact they have had some guys out, and they just came out and did their best like the Rebels always do. Now, as I also said, they broke several records on Friday night by winning this game. Those include a playoff spot for the second year in a row, first winning regular season since 2010, first winning regular season as a AAA school, and back-to-back playoff appearances for the first time since the 2006 and 2007 season. So we're super proud of these guys here at Team F1 Sports. So again, I want to say congratulations to our Fannin County Rebels. We love them. Now also, we had a post-game interview with head coach Chad Cheatham. And if you can't tell how excited I am and how excited this team is, you'll get more of an idea of it from Chad Cheatham here. So we'll go ahead and watch that interview. Team F1 Sports fans, this is Lauren Hunter here with head coach Chad Cheatham of the Fannin County Rebels. Coach Cheatham, a lot of excitement tonight because with this win over the Lumpkin County Indians,
see you guys back there.
You guys secured a spot in the playoffs for the second year in the row. So tell us how you're feeling right now.
I'm just proud of our kids. We're blessed to be here. They did a great job overcoming a couple tough losses, playing lights out tonight. It's the first winning season in AAA football in the history of the school in 22 seasons. We have 6 wins and second time in AAA football. So first, there's so much to say about these kids. They're resilient. They fought, came back after those 2 tough losses and put it back together. Hats off to Lumpkin. They did a great job. Great group of coaches, great group of players. They played their guts out.
You're exactly right, Coach. And speaking of highlighting some guys, Traylon Owensby hit over 1,000 yards in this game rushing.
Right.
Tell us about him, and then also tell us about some other players on this team.
Well, we talked to Traylon in there, and that was one of our goals to get to 1,000 tonight, and we were like at 860 something. But that, hats off to our guys up front. I thought Miles played really good. Micah Weeks, Dylan Collins in there at center, and then you throw Rico there at the tackle. So I thought he did a great job. Our receivers did a good job blocking downfield, and defensively we played well enough to win the football game.
That's awesome, Coach. Now also tell us a little bit about what you told the guys back in the locker room after the game.
Just be proud you made history in your history books. That was one of our goals, and to be the first team in 22 seasons to have a winning season in AAA football and ever to make back-to-back, and hadn't had a winning season since 2010. We were trying to make history and put our names in it.
And you guys did just that. In behalf on Team F1 Sports, I want to say congratulations, Coach.
Thank you, Lauren.
And congratulations to the Fannin Rebels.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
There are so many great things to pull out of that interview. That's a little lengthy, I know, but there were just so many great things that I wanted to talk to him about. They accomplished so much on Friday night as a team and then individually with Traylon Owensby breaking 1,000 yards rushing there. They came out, broke history, made history, played lights out, as Chad Cheatham says, and just overall great game for the Rebels. And then they have their final game on this Friday night at home against Greater Atlanta Christian. So they've got a really tough game ahead of them, but if it were me, I would still be celebrating this Monday morning. So definitely excited for the Rebels for getting into the playoff spot for the second season in a row. And of course, we'll be following them here at Team F1 Sports every step of the way. Now, the player of the week that our sideline reporter Reagan Young chose for the Rebels was Traylon Owensby. Of course, you had to pick him for breaking over 1,000 yards in this game against the Lumpkin County Indians. So congratulations, Traylon, on this accomplishment. And I could say so much more on the Rebels. I was there at that game, and I cover Lumpkin County, and Reagan covers Fannin. And obviously, I'm super proud of the Lumpkin Indians for all the work that they've put in. But I also am super proud of the Rebels getting out there and, they've had some guys out and just didn't let it get them down, continue to come out and play hard and just continue to do their best. And that's all you can really ask of these guys. And I know that head coach Chad Cheatham is super proud of them. I know all the coaching staff is proud of them, and I know the community is proud of them as well. And we're proud of them here at Team F1 Sports. But we've got to move on because we're running a little bit shorter on time than I thought. And we're going to move on into a Region 8 Class 2A and their standings there. We cover the Union County Panthers, who are undefeated, and that's another team that we are super proud of here at Team F1 Sports. Proud of all our teams across the board for this season, but also shout out to these Union County Panthers because they are sitting at the top of the region week after week. They keep up step for step with the Raven County Wildcats. And those two teams are tied for the top spot in the region with a region record of 6-0, and both teams are undefeated. So our Panthers are undefeated with an overall record of 9-0. Then Elbert County is coming in at that third place spot with a region record of 4-2. Putnam County, fourth place spot, 3-3 in the region. Monticello and Banks County are tied for the fifth place spot with a region record of 2-4. Oglethorpe County is in the seventh place spot with a region record of 1-5, and then Social Circle rounds out the region there with a region record of 0-6. And then the Panthers also played extremely well as well and dominated over Social Circle on Friday night. 41-6 was the final score. Union County had 6 drives in the first half of the game and scored on all 6. Senior quarterback Pearson Allison went 10 for 14 with 2 touchdowns. 1 touchdown pass was to Caden Rich for 72-yard score. The other was to Mason McCombs. Running back Jonah Daniel, who broke 1,000 yards rushing this season during the game against Oglethorpe County, carried 10 times for 3 touchdowns and hit over 100 yards during the game. It was his 7th game this season doing so, so shout out to Jonah Daniel there as well. The last score the Panthers got that night was an 8-yard rush by Sloan Sutton, who typically plays middle linebacker, so that's an example there for the Panthers and for many of our teams across Team FYN Sports area coverage that the guys play both sides. I mean, that's incredible, but that's just an example of that with Sloan Sutton. The Panther defense was once more led by Noah Underwood. He recovered 2 fumbles over the course of the game, so shout out to Noah as well. The Panthers, again, have their last game of the regular season this coming Friday night against Rabun County. It will be the region championship. Whoever comes out on top of this game will be at the top of the region, get the region title, and then also be in that first seed spot. So we do know that the Panthers are going to be hosting either way. We have our sideline reporter James Wolf has determined that for us, or we believe that is going to be the case. And if I'm also not mistaken, this will be the first playoff appearance for the Panthers. So we are rooting for them here at Team F1 Sports. They've got the guys, they've got the quarterback, they've got the offense, they've got the defense. If they're going to pull it out, I believe it'll be this year. So good luck to the Panthers on Friday night against Rabun County. And it is at home, so home field advantage. Just saying. Player of the week this week for the Panthers that James Wolf selected was Caden Rich. Brought in 2 catches on Friday night, 1 for a touchdown, and those 2 catches alone added up to 100 yards. He is also a go-to guy for quarterback Pearson Allison when he needs it. And also shout out while we're on that picture, I noticed there, that is a picture of all the seniors from the Union County Panthers football team. It was senior night for a lot of teams across Team F1 Sports coverage area, so shout out to them as well. And Caden was one of those guys there. So shout out to him. Congratulations to Caden. And good luck to our Panthers this Friday night. Now that is going to wrap it up for our football teams here at Team FYN Sports coverage that are in Georgia. Now we are going to move over into the Smoky Mountain Conference in Western North Carolina just briefly. And let's go ahead and take our final break, Destiny. And when we come back, we will go over our Smoky Mountain Conference standings with Murphy High School, Andrews High School. We've got a couple other things I want to cover before we end the show today. So we'll be right back to wrap up just after these messages.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Hi everyone, Dave Garner here. You might know me as a regular contributor to Team FYN Sports and the Instant Replay, but did you know I'm also your local Woodman Life representative? My job is to make sure that families are protected through needs-based life insurance and retirement. I want to make sure that you leave your loved ones with memories, not expenses. Call me today to find out how I can help you to not outlive your money and that your money outlives you. Woodman Life, standing strong for generations.
Welcome back, everyone, to this week's episode of Instant Replay. I want to make a slight correction. Earlier in the show, I've been saying that we are streaming on Facebook. We are on fyntv.com. So excuse me for that misinformation, but we are streaming live on fyntv.com, and thank you for tuning in here with us, whether you're watching live or you're watching later on our YouTube channel. We appreciate you viewing us for a little while as we go over some high school sports, particularly high school football, because we have wrapped up softball and volleyball here in Team FYN Sports area. But before we end the show, I do want to go through really quickly our Smoky Mountain Conference standings in Western North Carolina. Robbinsville and the Murphy Bulldogs are tied for that first place spot with a region record of 5-0. Swain County is in the third place spot with a region record of 3-2. Hayesville is fourth with a region record of 2-2. Andrews fifth, 1-4, Cherokee 6th, 1-5, and Rosman in the final spot there with a region record of 0-5. Now our Murphy Bulldogs won against Cherokee 50-6 on Friday night, and their last game of the regular season is going to be home against Robbinsville, and it will be the region championship. It will determine that first place spot and who gets the title for this year. And then our Andrews Wildcats lost to Robbinsville 28-7. And their last game of the regular season is at home against Rosman. Now, speaking of our Western North Carolina sports teams, you can find out more about how they're doing on Thursday when we broadcast live our NC Sports Report, Smoky Mountain Conference Report, beginning at 7 p.m. We're bumping that back an hour now, and we will be streaming that live on fyntv.com. And our voice of the Murphy Bulldogs, J.R. Carroll, and voice of the Andrews Wildcats, Scott Fletcher, will both be there to host that show. We took a break this past weekend for Halloween, which I hope you all had a great Halloween as well. And we'll be back with that with a new time this Thursday. Now, also, our other sports shows line up. I want to get to this really quick. Panther Playback, which is our Union County show, will be tonight at 6:45 p.m. on fyntv.com. Gilmer Turf Talk, which is in Gilmer County, tonight at 7 p.m. on fyntv.com. Pickens Power Half Hour Dragon Talk, which is in Pickens, tomorrow at 7 p.m. on fyntv.com. And then Rebel Wrap Up, which is in Fannin County, Wednesday at 7 p.m. on fyntv.com. And then, of course, our NC Sports Report, Smoky Mountain Conference Report on Thursday there as well. So check out all of our sports shows as well. It is going to be the last week of these shows, which means it'll be senior night. We're going to be highlighting all of our seniors from this season, so definitely going to be a good time there. You'll want to check that out. Now, before we go, I want to bring to everyone's attention that this Saturday all day will be the Mountain Football League Super Bowl, and we have all of our teams here that we will tell you about here in just a second. I definitely encourage everyone to go on our Facebook page. I took pictures throughout the season at some of these games, at the Jamboree earlier in the season, and then also at the middle school championship. So we've got a bunch of pictures there from all your favorite teams. We'll broadcast the Super Bowl live on November 9th, this Saturday, beginning for the first game at 9 a.m. all the way to the end. We will broadcast rain or shine, and it will be broadcasted live on our fyntv.com. Now, also on a more serious note, I do want to bring your attention and ask for prayers for Brandon Filial. He is a member of the 7U White County football team, and he suffered a stroke from a blood clot near the front of his brain while at the game on Fannin on Saturday. It was a non-football related injury, but he did suffer that on Saturday. He underwent surgery on Saturday. The doctor said there may be more surgeries in the future. This is a statement from his family, but they are hopeful it will not affect speech or motor skills long term. So definitely you are in our prayers, Braden, and your family during this time. Now, the teams that are going to be in the MFL Super Bowl, we will announce here for you on Instant Replay. You can also find this on the MFL Facebook page and on our Facebook page, Team F1 Sports as well. But the two 6U teams are going to be White County and Lumpkin County. Those two teams will kick off at 9 a.m. on Saturday. The 7U teams facing off are Pickens and White County at 11 a.m. 8U teams are Pickens and Fannin County at 1 p.m. 9U teams are Union County and White County at 3 p.m. The 10U Chestatee and Gilmer teams are battling for the championship beginning at 5 p.m. And then at 7 p.m. will be the final two teams in the 11U age group, which will be the Pickens Dragons and Lumpkin County Indians 11U teams. So good luck to all these teams on Saturday. And again, Team FY Sports will be there broadcasting the shows live. Broadcasting the games live, excuse me. I'm super excited for this, and we're getting ready for it here at Team F1 Sports, which is what I'm about to go do as soon as I sign off here on the show. And with that being said, it is officially time to wrap up our show here for this week's episode of Instant Replay. Again, thank you all for tuning in with us this week. I hope you enjoyed the show. Feel free to send us an email again to that email address I mentioned earlier, teamfysports@fetchernews.com. Follow us on social media. Stay up to date with everything we're doing here. And we will see you back here, same time, same place, next Monday morning. Have a great Monday, everyone, and have an even better week.